I saw Rob hit the corner three, and you kind of got hyped for him.
For sure.
Like, what did it feel like to have the young kid back out there with you?
He fine. I mean, everybody know it. The world know it.
Look, I feel like Kobe 24, you know I had to ice my wrist. I've been balling since a young, you know I had to stack my chips.
Today we're talking about the six-man effect and how Rob Dillingham's career can go one of two ways. Now before we get into his NBA career, let's talk about high school and college. Rob played for Donda Academy, and if you guys aren't familiar with that, that is the school Kanye West opened. And after he left Donda Academy, he played for the OTE League out of Georgia. And to give you guys context, that is where the Thompson twins, who are currently killing it in the NBA right now, that is where they played. Now, Rob committed to the University of Kentucky, where he only played one season. He was a 5-star recruit. Now, Rob averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, which is very respectable. But what made it impressive is Rob came off the bench. He didn't even start. Rob was asked about coming off the bench, and he responded, I mean, really for me, I'm happy for my brothers, honestly, so I don't really care when I get in. I just know when I get in, I'm going to make the best of my time and try my hardest to do what I can. So it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to win. For Rob to embrace coming off the bench, it was really refreshing to see, and I think this is where the narrative started. He was a microwave scorer with just instant offense. With the current situation in the NCAA involving the transfer portal and NIL, any other 5-star recruit coming off the bench would have transferred. But Rob remained positive, and this is where I give John Calipari credit at his last year at Kentucky. We all know Kentucky has put a lot of guards in the NBA, and this situation reminds me of Devin Booker. Now, if you guys can remember, Devin Booker came off the bench at Kentucky, and he was still drafted high. You know, John Calipari has a way of getting the players to buy into his system, even though he's not an X's and O's type of coach. He really relies a lot on recruiting and the talent he has brought in, but it doesn't really work well for the NCAA tournament unless he has a really good roster and they just better than everybody. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Anthony Davis season at Kentucky where they beat the Kansas Jayhawks, you know. But the difference between Devin Booker and Rob Dillingham is draft placement, right? So Devin Booker was drafted to the Phoenix Suns and they were horrible. So Devin Booker had an early opportunity to play a lot of minutes and to get the reps in to show what he can do. But that is not the case for Rob Dillingham. Rob was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs with the 8th pick and traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for a 2030 first-round pick. This trade by Minnesota was very good because you really don't see a team this good get a talent that high without giving up much. So I feel like this was a really good trade for Minnesota. Check out what Draymond Green had to say about the 2024 NBA draft.
And there's going to be some teams that's going to regret passing Rob Dillingham because he's the best pure scorer in that draft. He wants to be a great pro. If you talk to the young man off the court, great young man, but y'all probably don't know that because you just judge by how he bounced around the court in this game. Very smart young man.
Rob only averaged 4 points a game this season, and they are currently playing the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs right now. The Timberwolves have a really good roster, and speaking on the 6-man, they have Naz Reid, who won the award last year. Now, Rob has not had a chance to get a lot of minutes this season, considering that the roster for the Timberwolves is stacked. They do have an aging point guard in Michael Conley, so I think, you know, with an aging Michael Conley, Rob next year will get the opportunity to play way more minutes. But I think with the Timberwolves being this competitive, it has been hard for Rob to get decent playing time. He's been up and down. He's been dealing with injuries also, but with that, he also has been up and down between the NBA and the G League. Now, best case scenario, you know, don't quote me on this, but Rob was being compared to Kyrie Irving. Coming into the draft, I am not lying, Rob was being compared to Kyrie Irving when it comes to the shiftiness and the way he's able to score. So best case scenario, you know, we get a Kyrie Irving. In worst case scenario, we get a Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford type of person. And being a 6-man coming off the bench is not a bad thing. Speaking on the 6-man of the year, let's talk about the legend, Jamal Crawford. When you think about the NBA 6-man of the year award, there's only a couple players that come to mind. And Jamal Crawford is one of those players, right? He averaged 14 points a game and played 20 years in the NBA. Do I think Jamal Crawford was a starter? Of course he was. But I think with him embracing the role of coming off the bench, that led to his longevity. You know, there are a lot of things Jamal Crawford didn't do. But when we're talking about being a scorer and that being your specialty, I think he made a niche And that role he solidified for himself, kept him in the league for 20 years. You know, I think there are a lot of guys that came and went, and Jamal Crawford is still in the league, and those guys started, and Jamal Crawford didn't, you know. So I think that he did a really good job promoting his skill set to make him last in the league as long as he did. And towards the end of his career, he just got really bad defensively and couldn't really hold anybody. He still was a scorer, and he really aged gracefully and made a way for himself. The good thing about today's NBA is that there are media outlets and podcasts that give us the insight on how things become what they are, or certain narratives getting pushed. Now, back then, you know, older NBA in the 90s, early 2000s, you only saw what was broadcasted on ESPN. But now you have players who have podcasts who are currently playing in the NBA. So they'll play a game, and then right after the game, they're on their podcast speaking on the game and their current situation. So you're about to see a clip of Lou Williams speaking on the narrative of how his situation came to with him coming off the bench.
He pulled me in the office. He said, "Look, we gonna have you come off the bench, and AI is gonna start because we don't feel like it'll be appropriate in Philly to have Allen Iverson coming off the bench. So we gonna have you come off the bench."
Lou Williams played 17 seasons in the NBA and averaged 14 points a game. He had a really good career. Again, just like Jamal Crawford, the longevity when it comes to being a six man and giving you that spark off the bench. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Drake came out with that lyric, "Six man like I'm Lou Will," his stock just went even up more, you know. So teams are looking for that six man type of player that can come in and give the team a boost when, you know, they need scoring late in the game, early in the game. So this is where I think Rob Dillingham can come in and have a really nice career if he chooses to go that way. Now, yeah, Rob Dillingham needs to work on his playmaking. You know, like I said, best case scenario, Rob Dillingham is a Kyrie Irving shifty, you know, but I think he has a long way to go when it comes to his playmaking. But as of right now, Rob Dillingham can definitely fill that six-man type of role. You know, will he get a max contract? Probably not. But 20 years in the NBA is a really good career to have. Now, the Timberwolves are currently in the playoffs, and I think with the experience Rob has gotten this year and just being in the atmosphere of the playoffs as the Timberwolves make a deep playoff run, I think going into next season, he's going to be really well. The next thing to look out for is him this summer during the summer league. He's going to get real shifty. I think that confidence is going to be there because he knows next year should be his year, considering all things go well. I hope you guys liked the video. Regardless, thank you guys for watching. I need that HBO special. Help a brother out. Like, subscribe. See you guys for the next one.